Well, welcome back to GBN America, where I could not be more delighted to have as my guest today Todd Bensman, who is a very distinguished investigative journalist and has written a key book called Overrun, describing the problem with immigration into the United States and the changes that is creating to American society. Mr. Bensman, thank you very much for joining me.
Good to be here. Thank you.
So, you've come to the conclusion that this immigration crisis is the worst in American history. What led you to draw that conclusion, and what do you think the consequences of it will be?
The numbers, the metrics tell a story. We have never had anywhere near the number of illegal immigrant crossings into the United States over the past 36 months ever in the history of the country. And I dare say that it's probably in the history of the world. I'm having a hard time finding another case of this. Even in Europe, a few years ago, when some 3 million came in a year or so, we've had we're looking at close to 10 million people that have entered the United States.
But America's always been an immigrant community from its earliest times. So is this a fundamental change, or is this just the continuation of something that's happened before? I know you say that people will look back to this as they look back at Ellis Island, and Ellis Island, of course, is symbolic of the US being a welcoming place to immigrants 100 years ago or more.
Yes, the United States is a nation of immigrants. We are a welcoming nation, but we are a nation of legal immigrants. Ellis Island was a legal entry point for millions of immigrants. What's happening here is something that is quite outside of the experience of this country. We have not ever allowed to enter the country millions upon millions of people illegally over the border as we are now, as a matter of policy. And as a matter of fact, I would say that we haven't really seen any country in the world that exists now or even through time that has ever just thrown open its borders to just everyone and anyone who wants to come. There's usually some attempt to wrestle that problem down, to oppose it, to counter it. But in fact, in this case, it's actual policy of a government, of an American administration, to literally let everybody who comes to the border into the country to stay. Almost everybody. Very little deportation happens.